Dum dare, dum dare, dum dare, dum dare, dum da, dum dare, dum dare, dare dum dum dum. Dum dare, dum dare, dum dare, dum dare, dum da, dum dare, dum dare, dare dum dum dum. ಕಥೆಯೊಂದ ಹೇಳಿದೆ ಬರಿ ಗುರುತುಗಳೇ ಕಾಲೇಜಲ್ಲಿ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ರೂಮಿನ ಬೆಂಚಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾರಿಡಾರ್ ವಾಲಲ್ಲಿ ಸಾಲದೆ ಗುರುತೊಂದನು ನಾಗೀಚಿದೆ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಶಿಪ್ಪಿನ ನೆಪದಲ್ಲಿ ದಮ್ದರೆ 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 ದಮ್ದ ದಮ್ದರೆ ದಮ್ದರೆ ದರೆ ದಮ್ ದಮ್ ದಮ್.
Good afternoon, guests and participants. It has been a pleasure to host all the attendees today. We have been fortunate to have some of the very eminent persons from the academia, and I'm certain that the participants must have benefited by the deliberations on the different facets of the conference theme during the technical sessions. After the engaging and invigorating sessions, I would like to call upon Dr. Krishnamurthy to share his thoughts. Sir?
Yes, madam. First, I would like to extend my, ma'am, whether my voice is audible?
Yes, sir, very much.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, ma'am. First, I would like to express my sincere thanks from bottom of my heart to share some of my experience. I have seen several conferences. I have been chaired several conferences, but this is unique in terms of selection of the topic. Then the audience, the quality of presentation is something better. Every audience took more than 12 minutes. Then they are in a nice way. This is another one important thing is then proper timing, then organization, then organization of the conference, everything is good. Definitely, if you go by this way, then naturally you can take your institution as well as your research conference to the next level. In future, if you could publish all collected paper in some Web of Science or Scopus indexed journal, again, you can also fetch more quality paper. It will bring more value to your conference. So this is my observation, ma'am. Really a heads up you. You can, I am ready to extend my academic support to you at any point of time. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. We'll definitely consider your inputs. Now, I request Dean and Conference Co-Chair, Dr. Veena KN, to brief you with a report on the conference proceedings. Ma'am, over to you.
Please unmute. Unmute yourself, ma'am. Thank you, Professor Chrissy. When experts discuss and deliberate on a topic, it's a challenge to summarize the content in a few words. However, I'm happy to accept this responsibility. Ladies and gentlemen, I, Dr. Veena Kayan, present to you all a report on the proceedings of today's conference. After successfully completing 4 international conferences during our previous years, we were brainstorming on the topic and the theme for the 5th International Conference. We finalized the topic and the themes for the 5th International Conference based on the following discussion points. We all know that change is the only constant. But what promotes the change? It's the natural evolution which brings in change many a times, but we human beings are also driving change. Technology is one such human-driven change which is revamping the way we all are living today. Hello. So I was talking about why we selected this theme. We all know that the change is the only constant and most of the changes are nature driven. As a part of the evolution in nature, changes do happen. But there are some changes that we bring in as human beings. Technology is one such human driven change which is changing the way we are living today and we live tomorrow. This only means that either we need to adopt to the change or be the change that we would like to see. This is not just true for the human beings, but it is true for business organizations. Keeping this in mind, we thought a theme like survival and sustenance of businesses in the data-driven digital era is an apt theme for deliberations during the 5th International Conference. This particular conference was earlier scheduled during April, but due to the pandemic, we had to move it to December. Now, in a way, we have adopted to the changes that was posed by both man-made reasons and the natural reasons. And we have also adopted technology to reach out to the audience across the globe. So technology is here to stay and helps us in moving forward. So keeping this in mind, we had the deliberation starting with an inauguration in the morning. We had our chief guest, Dr. K.N.B. Murthy, the Vice Chancellor of Dayanand Sagar University, as our chief guest, and Dr. Brigadier Sandesh, Principal, DSBA, as the chair for the conference. During his presentation, conference chair delivered the welcome address wherein he emphasized how data is impacting businesses. And he also stressed on the point that we need to prepare ourselves to face the future. Delivering the inaugural address and the keynote address, our chief guest emphasized on importance of right data, right model, and the right tool for making decisions. He was very emphatic in saying that it's an important aspect to connect business strategy with the right data, right model, and the right tool to identify the right decision for the business. And he was very clear in saying that never ever over optimize any resource. So setting the right tone for the conference during the inauguration, we moved on to the panel discussion. The panel discussion witnessed exhaustive deliberations on leveraging technology for survival, sustenance, and scaling in retail sector. Our distinguished panel members, Mr. Varadarajan Krishna, Mr. Ashok, Mr. Shiva Balakrishna, Mr. Pannu Subramanya, and Mr. Sandeep Singh, emphasized on importance of adopting technology, especially in the pandemic times. And also, when we look at the key takeaways, they were very clear in saying that like the neighborhood stores are there to stay, but it's important to keep the excitement of the consumers alive so that they visit the shops and the malls. Otherwise, the malls and the infrastructure built for the retail segment might not be utilized optimally. However, the technology-enabled retail will find more reach and more customers. Especially in the case of Tier 2 cities, it's very, very important to bring the virtual mall to the customer rather than expecting the customer to walk into the retail shops. And they also emphasized on the opportunities of joining into a career in retail segment for students. And finally, the key takeaway is learning by doing. So be the LBTs. Following the panel discussion, we had the plenary sessions, first by Dr. Murad Bulmez, who educated all of us on transformational higher education at the dawn of COVID-19. He elaborated on virtual education community connects for educators as well as the students. He narrated a story of success with a non-profit initiative while teaching through virtual universities and their preparedness to go online even before the pandemic actually happened. He also narrated the success story of connecting the German organization working for Kenyan children from Kenya and how they could raise the funds through virtual events. The students of his university have been successful in making the virtual event which could raise the funds for a not-for-profit initiative. And he also elaborated on developing a course on virtual world and the success of teaching the same in making students understand how to go ahead and be successful in virtual worlds, which are going to be real worlds from now onwards. And he also said that the students were excited that they could interact with their peer members from other countries during the course and the benefit that they could get because of this networking and interaction. So that was the story about transformation of higher education through technology. The next presenter during the plenary session was Colonel Krishnan Srinivasan, a retired army man who is now the head of security risk management and governance at Reliance Industries. He elaborated on corporate governance, the shift that we are getting to see from mass production to made to order, the focus from cost reduction to return on cost, the transformation that we have seen from industrial era to information era, and how important it is to be tech savvy to data fluency to data literacy, and the important elements of corporate governance, which takes care of protecting the interests of stakeholders in a VUCA world. Transparency, efficiency, and public participation are the key features that we get to see in a digitally enabled corporate governance environment. However, it does not come without any challenge. He emphasized that cyber risk is a challenge that the corporate governance need to take care of. At the same time, he also narrated about the effectiveness of leadership through integrating technology. And finally, he ended his presentation with a quote from Dhirubhai Ambani, who says building relationship and trust are the foundation for growth of any organization. Through these plenary sessions, we could understand how technology is impacting each and every business space. Later, we had our sponsor, Mr. Nitin, the founder and CEO of Mind Parkour. We thank him for being our sponsor. He narrated about adopting technology for moving forward in the training space, from physical training to online training, the challenges and the strategies that they have adopted in making it successful. He was able to pitch his technology-driven training program to the audience. Post-lunch session witnessed paper presentations from various institutions across the country. We had 4 parallel tracks. Track 4 papers were presented, and the session was chaired by Dr. Krishnamurthy from Kongu Engineering College, Erode. Track 5 had 5 presentations. The session was chaired by Dr. S.J. Manjunath, professor in B.N. Bahadur Institute of Management Sciences, University of Mysore. Track 6 had 4 presentations, and the session was chaired by Dr. Soumya C.S., a professor with V School, Bangalore. And the session, track 7, again witnessed another 4 paper presentation, and the session was chaired by Dr. Shubha Muralidhar, a professor with BMS Institute of Management and Research in Management. Now, once the papers were presented, the papers were evaluated by the session chairs on different parameters, which was already discussed with all the presenters. And based on the presentation and the evaluation of the presentations, we have got the evaluation of some of the papers as the good papers. I'm going to read out the papers which stood second. We have a tie when it comes to which paper is adjudged as the second best paper. And finally, I'm going to present to you all the best paper presented during the conference today. One of the papers which was adjudged as the best paper in the track was presented by Mr. Sid Baliga, The Paradox of Choice in a Hyper-Competitive Digital Era. This was one of the papers which was adjudged as the second best paper. As I told, there was a tie. Another paper presented by Dr. Anjana Devi and Rupa Chatterjee. The paper titled An Analytical Evaluation of Effectiveness of Remote Working was also evaluated as the second best. Of course, the tie does not end there. We have one more paper which again got the same assessment marks, was presented by Manjushri and Rakshita. Consumer behavior towards changes from general banking mechanism to green banking was the other paper which was adjudged the best. However, the best paper for today is Survival and Sustenance of Online Pharmacies in the Indian Scenario by Ms. Shraddha S. Bandikeda. Congratulations, Ms. Shraddha. For being adjudged as the best paper presenter for today's presentations. We will be issuing a certificate of appreciation to all those presenters who presented their papers, and also to all those all those participants who registered themselves as delegates for this international conference. We look forward to your participation during the 6th International Conference and help us in making it a grand success. I take this opportunity to thank each one of you for being a part of this conference and helping us in making this a grand success. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, ma'am. All good things must come to an end. We culminate our international conference with a word of thanks by Professor Meera Krishnan.
Thank you, Professor Chrissy. Good evening, our most valued invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to propose a vote of thanks with a quote by John Maxwell. A pessimist complains about the wind. Optimist tries to change it. And a leader adjusts the sails. No conference can take place and shape without a hardworking leader. It was the dedication and the enthusiasm of our conference chair, Dr. Sandesh, Principal DSBA, co-chair, Dr. Veena KN, and organizing committee chairperson, Dr. Nikita Srikanta, HOD, UG programs. Their determinations are commendable, and it is their hard work which made the conference fruitful. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to the trio. We're extremely grateful to the patrons and the advisory board for their support, encouragement, and guidance. I extend a very hearty vote of thanks to Dr. KNB Murthy, our chief guest and the keynote speaker. I would also like to acknowledge our esteemed speakers, the moderator and the panelists, Mr. Varadarajan Krishna, Mr. Ashok G, Mr. Sandeep Singh, Mr. Suva Balakrishnan, and Mr. Ponno Subramaniam, and the plenary session speakers, Dr. Murad Gulmayes and Colonel Krishnan Srinivasan, who took time out of their busy schedule and showered us with their pearls of wisdom and knowledge. We're truly humbled by your presence. Thank you once again. Furthermore, let's have a special recognition to the session chairs, Dr. Krishnamurthy, Dr. S.J. Manjunath, Dr. Soumya C.S., and Dr. Shubha Murlidhar. I would like to acknowledge our gratitude to each one of them. I convey thanks to all our distinguished delegates and paper presenters for their active participation in the conference. Your presence has made our conference memorable and fruitful. My special and hearty thanks to Mr. Nitin, founder and CEO, Mind Paco, digital learning platform, for his gracious sponsorship. A leader is someone who creates an event, but it's the team leader who essentially brings life to it. Kudos to the technical committee, reviewers, and moderators for the smooth conduct of the technical sessions. A big thank you to each one of you. I would also like to express my sincere thanks to the IT coordinators for the glitch-free, unstinting support through the conference. Many thanks to you. We've been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated colleagues and non-teaching staff of DSBA. A big thank you to you all too. Last but not the least, student volunteers, special thanks coming your way. I sign off for today till we meet again next year at the 6th International Conference. Till then, ciao, take care, and God bless. Thank you.